Welcome back to Grim Tale Teller, where time itself can twist into terror. I'm your host, unearthing the chilling tales you send to grimtaleteller@gmail.com. Tonight, a 2025 submission from Henry, a 38-year-old clock restorer who uncovered a curse that rewinds more than clocks. A true time warp horror with a personal price. Real encounter or a mind unraveling? You decide. Got a story that defies time? Send it to grimtaleteller@gmail.com. Subscribe, dim the lights, and listen to the ticking. This is Henry's tale of the Clockmaker's curse. I'm Henry, 38, a clock restorer in a quiet Vermont town. It's 2025, and I've spent 15 years fixing timepieces, grandfather clocks, pocket watches, each tick a piece of history. I live alone now, my wife gone 3 years ago in a car accident that still haunts me. My daughter Ellie, 12, stays with me on weekends, my only light. Late October, I found a job at an antique shop. A clock, unmarked, delivered in a crate with no sender. It was beautiful, brass gears exposed, hands frozen at 3:17. The moment she died. I took it home to restore, thinking it a challenge. But that night, as I wound it, the hands moved backward in time with them. I should have stopped, but curiosity pulled me in. The clock sat on my workbench, a masterpiece of craftsmanship. Brass filigree, a glass face cracked but intact, gears humming with a life of their own. I cleaned it, oiled the springs, and wound the key. The hands, stuck at 3:17, jerked backward, ticking in reverse. My shop lights dimmed, and a cold draft swept through, though the windows were shut. I laughed it off, faulty mechanism maybe, but then I felt it, a pull, like time rewinding in my chest. The room blurred and I was back. 3 years ago, November 12th, 2022, 3:17 a.m. I stood on my porch, rain pouring, watching paramedics load my wife into an ambulance. The crash replayed, her scream, the screech of tires, my helpless cry. I relived it, heart pounding, but the clock on my shelf ticked backward. When it stopped, I was back in 2025, hands shaking, clock hands at 3:16. Ellie called from the kitchen, weekend visit, and I hit it, stunned. Had I dreamed it? I wound it again, testing. The hands reversed, and I was there again. Her last breath, my tears. Each rewind stole a minute of my memory, her voice fading from my mind. I should have smashed it, but a note fell out. Old parchment. Stop the hands, or she takes the next. A shadow flickered in the corner, tall and silent. This wasn't just a clock. The shadow lingered, a tall figure in a tattered coat, face obscured by darkness. The clock's reverse tick echoed, and I froze, heart racing. I wound it again, desperate to see her. November 12th, 2022, 3:16 a.m. The room spun, and I was there, rain on my face, her hand limp in mine. "Henry, help me," she gasped. But I couldn't change it. She faded, ambulance doors closing. Back in 2025, the clock stopped at 3:15, and a minute of my life vanished. Ellie's 5th birthday, her cake-smudged smile gone. The shadow moved closer, whispering stop the hands. I researched the clock, antique forums, local history. No record, but a dealer mentioned a cursed timepiece from the 1800s, linked to a clockmaker who lost his family and built a device to undo it. Legend said it demanded a life to halt. Was this it? I hid it in the basement, but the ticking followed. Walls, my dreams. Ellie noticed my distraction, asked about Mom. I lied, just work. But the shadow appeared in her room that night, whispering her name. I rushed in, clock in hand, and wound it. 3:14. The room blurred. I relived her funeral, her casket lowering. Back in 2025, another memory gone. Our wedding dance. The shadow loomed, demanding sacrifice or she's next. The shadow's whisper grew, a cold, hollow demand. Stop the hands. Give yourself. I couldn't sleep. The clock's reverse tick a drumbeat in my skull. I wounded again, 3:13, reliving the crash site, tires screeching, her blood on the glass. Each time a memory slipped, her laugh, our first date, replaced by a void. The shadow watched, taller each night, its coat brushing my walls. Ellie asked why I looked tired. I hid the clock, fearing her involvement. But the note's threat, she takes the next, loomed. I took it to my shop, examining it under a magnifier. The gears were hand-carved, a signature etched inside. E. Harrow, 1867. Local records showed Elias Harrow, a clockmaker who lost his wife and child to fever, obsessed with time reversal. He vanished, clock with him, after neighbors heard screams. Was this his curse? I tried stopping the hands, jammed them with a screwdriver, but they sprang back, ticking reverse, pulling me to 312. I relived calling 911, her fading pulse. Back in 2025, another memory lost. Ellie's first word. The shadow appeared, solidifying, its voice a growl. Her turn, unless you end it. I saw Ellie's room darken on the baby monitor, her sleep disturbed. I had to act, but how? The shadow's threat to Ellie pushed me to the edge. I wound the clock to 3:11, reliving the hospital wait, doctors shaking their heads, my wife's monitor flatlining. Back in 2025, her face blurred from my mind, replaced by a hollow ache. The shadow loomed over Ellie's bed, its whisper chilling. She's young, ripe. I grabbed the clock, ran to the basement, and tried to dismantle it. Pliers, hammer. But the gears resisted, humming with a life of their own. The hands reversed to 3:10, and I was there. Her last words, I love you, slipping away. Another memory gone. Our honeymoon. I researched Harrow's fate. Church records, 1867, noted his disappearance after a ritual to rewind death. Neighbors found his workshop empty, clock missing, a child's cry echoing. Was the shadow his wife, demanding a soul to stop the curse? I called a local historian. He paled. That clock's cursed. Stops only with a life. I hung up, heart sinking. The shadow appeared, holding Ellie's scarf stolen from her room. Choose, it hissed. I wound it again, 3:09, reliving the funeral procession, her casket a blur. Back in 2025, I forgot her voice. The shadow grew, its coat brushing my face. I had to save Ellie, but at what cost? The shadow's presence thickened, Ellie's scarf dangling like a noose. I wound the clock to 3:08, reliving the crash aftermath. Police lights, my sobs, losing her touch from my memory. Back in 2025, the void grew. Her smell, her warmth, gone. The shadow whispered, her life for yours. Its form sharpening, a woman's outline under the coat, eyes hollow. I saw Harrow's wife, her grief turned monstrous. I barricaded Ellie's door, clock in hand, but the ticking reversed to 3:07 unprompted. I was there, her last breath, my scream, another memory erased, our first kiss. I tried to destroy it again, threw it against the wall, but it landed intact, hands at 3:06. The room spun, I relived signing her death certificate, my hand trembling. Back in 2025, I forgot her face. The shadow appeared holding a knife, Ellie's craft scissors, pointing to my chest. "Stop it," it said, voice hers but warped. I called a friend, desperate. He thought I was drunk, hung up. The historian emailed, "Sacrifice yourself, halt the hands with your blood." I hesitated, Ellie's life or mine. The shadow moved toward her room and I heard her cry out. I had no choice but to try. The shadow's knife glinted, Ellie's cry spurring me. I wound the clock to 3:05, reliving the hospital goodbye, her hand slipping from mine, losing her laugh. Back in 2025, the void consumed her fully. I barely remembered her name. The shadow stood over Ellie, scissors raised. I grabbed the clock, raced to the basement, and followed the historian's advice. I found a rusty nail, pricked my finger, blood dripped onto the hands. They slowed, but the shadow roared, "Not enough." I cut deeper, wrist bleeding, chanting, "Stop, stop, stop." The hands froze at 3:04, time halting. The room stilled, shadow shrinking, but Ellie screamed upstairs. I ran up. The shadow was gone, but she was pale, clutching her chest. "Dad, I saw her," she gasped. The clock ticked forward now, normal, but my arm throbbed, memory gaps widening. I bandaged it, hid the clock, thinking I'd won. But that night the shadow returned, weaker, whispering, "You're mine," half given. My reflection showed graying hair, aging fast. The curse wasn't broken. It took my life instead, sparing hers. I'm fading, hours slipping, and the clock ticks my doom. The victory was hollow. The clock ticked forward, but each hour drained me, hair thinning, joints aching, like I'd aged a decade overnight. The shadow lingered, a faint outline, whispering, "Half a soul isn't enough." Ellie recovered, no memory of the figure, but she asked why I looked old. I lied, just stress, and hid the clock in a lockbox. It didn't stop. The ticking seeped through, a countdown in my skull. I lost days, forgetting tools, clients, my own address. The shadow appeared holding an hourglass, sand falling fast. I researched Harrow's End. 1867 parish logs said he bled on his clock. Vanishing, wife and child found dead after. Did I inherit his fate? I contacted the historian again. He warned, "The curse demands full payment. Your life to free the line." I considered it, Ellie's safety worth my end, but the shadow grew, its voice hers. "Give her to me." I refused, barricading my shop, but the clock unlocked itself, hands reversing to 3:03. I relived her death again, losing another memory. Our last hug. Back in 2025, I aged more, skin sagging. The shadow loomed, demanding, "Choose her or you." I'm running out of time. The shadow's ultimatum haunted me. I wound the clock to 3:02, reliving the crash site, rain, her blood, losing her final words. Back in 2025, I forgot her entirely, a blank where my wife lived. My body crumbled, wrinkles deepened, breath short, like 60 instead of 38. The shadow held Ellie's scarf again, whispering, "Her soul for yours." I saw her asleep, peaceful, and knew I couldn't let it take her. I locked the clock in a safe, but it ticked through the steel, hands at 3:01. The room spun. I relived the funeral, losing Ellie's birth. I called a priest, last hope. He came, blessed the safe, but the shadow laughed. shattering a window. "Only blood stops it," he said, fleeing. I found a knife, cut my palm, blood on the clock's face. The hand slowed, but the shadow roared, "More!" I slashed my wrist, blood pooling, chanting, "End it." The hands froze at 3 o'clock, time halting. The shadow vanished, clock silent. Ellie woke, safe, but I collapsed, eating rapidly. I'm writing this from my bed, skin like paper, hours fading. The curse took me to save her. The silence after the clock stopped was a lie. I lay in bed, body failing, skin sagging, breath shallow, like decades collapsed in days. Ellie found me, tears streaming, calling 911, but I knew help wouldn't reverse this. The shadow was gone. Its whisper faded, but the clock's curse lingered in my bones. I saw flashes, Harrow's workshop, his wife's scream, a child's cry, memories not mine, stolen from the curse. My daughter held my hand, her voice my anchor, but my mind drifted, losing her face again. I tried to warn her, scribbled a note. Destroy the clock, burn it. She nodded, pale, promising to keep it safe. The paramedics arrived, but my pulse weakened, each beat a tick backward. The hospital lights blurred, doctors shouting, Ellie crying. I saw the shadow one last time, smiling, its coat fluttering as it dissolved. My life ebbed, hours stolen, but Ellie was free. I hope she burns it, ends this. My last thought, her laugh, faint, faded as darkness took me. This is my confession, sent to grimtaleteller@gmail.com. If you find a clock that ticks backward, run. It's not just time it takes, it's you. But the darkness wasn't the end. In the hospital, as machines beeped, I felt a pull, a rewind, faint but real. The clock, hidden in my safe, must have restarted, its curse unfinished. I saw flashes, Harrow's face, his hands bleeding on the gears, a ritual to reclaim his family. Was I reliving his doom? My body stabilized, but my mind fractured. Memories of Ellie mixed with his wife's cries, my shop with his workshop. The nurses noticed my muttering, restrained me, thinking it delirium. I saw the shadow again, weaker, whispering, your hours half bound. Ellie visited, tears in her eyes, holding the note. I'll burn it, Dad, she said, but the clock's tick echoed in my ears even here. The shadow appeared in the window holding an hourglass, sand trickling, my time draining. I tried to speak, warn her, but my voice was his, deep and hollow. The doctors increased my meds, calling it a breakdown from grief. But I know the curse clings, a tether to Harrow's fate. Last night the clock appeared by my bed, hands at 2:59, ticking backward. I relived her death again, losing another piece. Ellie's voice. The shadow loomed, demanding, finish it. I'm trapped, aiding in loops, and she's still at risk. This is my plea, sent from the ward. Save her, destroy it. And that's Henry's tale, a clockmaker's curse that rewound time and stole his life to protect his daughter. Was it Harrow's ghost, a time demon, or a mind's unraveling? The ticks still echo. Thanks to Henry for submitting at grimtaleteller@gmail.com. If this time warp horror gripped you, subscribe for more weekly chills. Like if you'd stop the hands, or let it run, and share your spookiest clock story below. December deepens the dark. Stay tuned. Until then, check your timepieces and lock your doors. This has been Grim Tale Teller. Good night, if time lets you rest.